You're listening to Ernestly Speaking, the only weekly podcast that covers friends, foes, and anything that goes. And now, for your badass host, Ernest Owens. And we're back with another episode of Ernestly Speaking with your host, Ernest Owens, myself. Well, the Eagles have done it. They have won their second Super Bowl in their entire franchise. And of course, as you can imagine, Philadelphia has lost its mind. I mean, y'all know I'm not really a crazy football person. But, it's go birds, as they would say. They've won outright. It was an outright decisive win. I didn't watch the game. As you all know, I'm not really an NFL person or, all of that. But of course, as a journalist, I do keep an eye on what's going on. I did get a chance to watch the halftime show on YouTube, and I will give my review and my thoughts about that. But they won, and, good. Initially, before the Super Bowl results or the game, I had an imagining in my head of like, oh, this is a very different contrast. The Chiefs, the quarterback of the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, his wife is a Trumper, and Trump supports the Chiefs, and the Eagles, have the black quarterback with the black wife, and Saquon Barkley's, fiance, she might be white, but she's not problematic or a Trump supporter. And then the Root came out and revealed that actually Saquon Barkley's fiance, who's white, has a history of saying that N-word very broadly on Twitter. And I was reminded, why am I actually surprised by any of the things that are going on in the NFL? Why do I try to act like there could be some moral consciousness within the league and within it all? Whatever. I mean, it's one of those things where I do think that it is a pastime that most Americans who mean well, it's just an addiction, sports, specifically football. I mean, there's other sports teams and stuff, but for whatever reason, the chokehold that football has on the American consciousness is interesting on so many fronts. And it's not to make people feel guilty. People like what they like, but I just think there is a weird universe in which sports does not reflect the rest of society. And it's almost like American hypocrisy and contradiction, right? This is a game that is played largely by Black men. And it is one of the only few outside of entertainment where Black talent and performance is revealed, is celebrated, is desired by whiteness in a way that we don't see outside of, with the exception of entertainment, right? In this way that it's treated like a commodity and a necessity, where DEI, when it comes to the field, is embraced in such a very large way. And yet, when we get outside of the world of sports, the same fanatical fans and supporters who go up for these Black athletes, all of a sudden will fear men that look like them who are not kicking a ball for them. Will completely talk about meritocracy and say DEI picks and any other world where Black people might try to occupy said space. But for whatever reason, on the football field, when we're talking about players, Black bodies, Black masculinity, the presence of Black faces in many ways are celebrated, are given this level of prize, right? But if you look in other fields, whether it's journalism, medicine, academia, any other space, science and medicine and technology, entrepreneurship, politics, there is a very different level of encouragement, idolism, celebration, and all of that. And I think now the times that we're in, it just feels even more, disgusting. Like, I don't know. I get a sense of just, like, I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. And it's weird because the older I get, the more I see it with that lens, and it's really hard to not to unsee it. And other folks in other communities, who will say up and down that they understand these issues, they do. But what sports just has a different thing it do to everybody. Like everybody suddenly becomes quote unquote colorblind. Everybody all of a sudden ignore the rest of the world, ignore everything in the world, and will be in this sense of unity and harmony that does not permeate outside of the field, which is why it annoys me, because it's like when people say, oh, this can never happen. There can never be a this. There could be a never that. In football, all the things can happen. A black man like Jalen Hurts can go from being hated to being emulated and admired and loved and celebrated with a Lombardi trophy, right? But then all of a sudden, could he be able to be respected and loved if he was to be Jalen Hurts in that way in higher education? Or if he was like that in the food industry, right? Or if he was like that in something else that wasn't sports? Do we do that? Do we celebrate black people, black men in that same way in other fields outside of entertainment, right? And sports. And so I don't know, seeing Kendrick, seeing that, it just made me realize like we're having this moment in a country that literally supports a president that wants to kill the existence of men like Jalen Hurts, kill programs in schools and HBCUs and Black History Month and these rituals that celebrates people, that encourages people like him and his fellow teammates to do what they do. It's and so I don't know. For me, it's just like, yay, right? Because while I'm recording this podcast tonight on this night, there are many folks in Philadelphia, black folks, white folks, Latinos, Asians, they're in Broad Street, thousands of people. They're tearing down the streets, they're showing, yelling and screaming and carrying on. And nobody's gonna call those people animals. Nobody's gonna call them thugs. The news is going to not release any mug shots or shame. It's gonna be all good because the game, right? Because the Eagles won. And so sports give people a pass to do everything. But outside of that realm, society does not match the reality to which sports give the illusion to. And I wonder if that's the lure of why sports appeals to black people, because for decades, it is one of the few spaces where we can see black representation shine in ways that we don't anywhere else. I didn't know I was going to get this deep at the beginning of this podcast. I wasn't even expecting this, but it's just on my heart because, we're not going to see people talk like this. This is why you listen to Ernestly speaking, partially because everybody's going to just say Eagles and misspell Eagles, and they're going to say ELGLSES or whatever the way the mayor spelled it. They're not going to talk about this because it's not the thing people want to hear. But it's like, well, people say, well, we could chew and walk gum at the same time. We could cut that out. People are not chewing and walking gum at the same time, baby. Y'all are either chewing or y'all walking. Nobody's doing both anymore. Like, we can stop lying to ourselves because the results are showing that we're not doing both. We're doing more playing than we're doing more hard work. We're doing more celebratory distractions and procrastination, and we're doing the roll your sleeves up and get down to the revolution. We're not doing both. We're not walking and chewing gum at the same time. It was something I believed at one point in time, but we're not doing that. Survey says, wah. So if you're like, oh, we could do both, yeah, you're probably the only one doing both. Your cousins, your friends, your folks, they ain't doing both. So we can stop acting like two things can happen. A couple of people might be doing both, but that's a very small few. Okay. Those people out there in that crowd, that's out here saying go birds with other black men, a lot of people voted for Trump. Okay? And it was they're okay with the game because they live in a world where two things can exist. They can support black players winning football games, and they can also support and elected officials that will kill those people's families and experiences. I mean, that's just the reality we live in. We do walk and chew gum at the same time, but not in unison and solidarity to the causes. Okay, so Trump can be golfing with Tiger Woods before the Super Bowl, which is what he did, and then turn around and blame any level of diversity in any other field of aviation outside of sports and blame it for why people are dying. Not because he has dismantled systems and institutions that's supposed to support us and save us, but he will blame black people for the reasons why things are going wrong in our country. So that's walking and chewing gum at the same time. That's what it looks like. It looks like smiling in people's face and fucking them over at the same time. That's where we're at. And it's just not genuine. It's not real of me to pretend that I'm gonna be naive. That's just not. I can't unsee it. I maybe I'm too close to the work, or maybe that's just what it is. Like I'm too close to this work to be naive. And I think there were times in the past when I would escape, thinking that, oh, a little bit during the Biden era, I would say. It's like, okay, well, we unelected Trump, we put Biden in. I guess people got their head on straight. I guess I can somewhat, doze off, but I can't. I can't at this point. I don't trust I don't trust these people. I don't. I don't think in my lifetime I will ever doze off again. Because what we've seen and what we consistently see, and when the confetti falls from the ground and the go Eagles, go birds phenomenon dies down, and this parade, which allegedly is going to happen on Friday, you heard it from me. You probably heard in these streets. They ain't announced it yet, but the parade is probably going to happen on Valentine's Day on Friday, which is going to be chaotic as fuck. But this city loves chaos. When that goes down and we have to, well, many of us wake up and get back to the world, we'll realize that the same people that was down there with us doing the Go Birds and Eagles and all that are going to be the same horrible people that's going to then turn around and there'll be a mugshot of a black man or somebody next week and call the same folks that they was partying with animals and thugs and say lock them up and blame them for crime and say Larry Krasner's not doing enough and say that crime in the city is not safe. And they will look at young black men as the problem, and they will not support initiatives and causes and institutions that will support us. So yeah, they like Saquon Barkley. Yeah, they like Jalen Hurts. But that does not manifest into their love of other black men and black culture, right? They love the culture, the things that come from the culture, but they don't love the people. And I think sometimes, and I'm saying this to black people, and I'm saying this to any community that's been in the margins, right? Is that we live in a society that does chew gum and walk at the same time. But it's the white supremacy of it all. We're gonna love the things you produce because we like the things, but we don't like you. Because to be honest, they're not like us. Don't ask me how I know this answer. I know it because I've lived through it. I've lived in a world, and I still do, where folks can love my writing and love the things I wear and my nails and my clothes and think I'm funny. But do those same people believe I deserve equal rights, freedom of marriage equality, the right to speak my truth as much as it can be uncomfortable for them? Nah, they don't. They don't. And when you know that reality, then it makes you begin to see things differently. Because the optimism in Black culture is that in our community is that we believe that these milestones we individually make is going to somehow support and benefit the collective. And that isn't the case. Um, we want to believe that, right? We want to believe that Beyonce winning album of the year is going to send a ripple effect in the music industry and it's going to transform all of these other Black musicians to do the same. We thought that when Halle Berry won Best Actress over 20 years ago. And we thought, whoa, wow, if Halle Berry and Denzel Washington can win the Oscar, then that's going to change Hollywood. And other Black actresses are it's going to open the door for them. It didn't. We still don't have another Black Best Actress in Leading Role Oscar in Hollywood. Black actresses are still being underpaid and undervalued. Those individualist achievements, while they were inspiring and they were good for the individual, they didn't lead to collective institutional change. And I think as a Black queer person who has created milestones and have had wonderful experiences, I recognize the reality that while individual victories and accomplishments are great and they're fun, it can be inspirational to individuals, if it does not lead to collective change within my community, within my space, the work must continue. And so that is just, things that would I have said this 5 years ago? No, I would have had a different thought. But I think the more you get older, the more you see society, the more you learn, the more you read, the more you elevate, the more you begin to sit and have to think about these uncomfortable realities and really begin to have those conversations like out loud to people who are in positions of power and change. It can't be just it cannot be the responsibility of individuals on the margins to open those doors. It has to be the cooperation of those who claim they admire the culture, like the work, like us, love this thing that we produce, that they have to see us more as commodities, more as individual products, more as workers and laborers and actual humans, right? To see the humanity enough to be a part of that change. The responsibility cannot be solely on the oppressed, but the oppressor themselves to remind. And those who are in the collective with oppressors that see differently, they must also play a role in it. You know what I'm saying? Right? It can't be enough that the girl who loves Saquon Barkley, who's engaged to him, the white woman who's engaged to him, the same one who loves that man, has had kids with him, is the same woman who wants to use the N-word and say it out loud on social media with the hard ER, right? ERS, right? That same person who can be married to that Black man can also still be racist. Because, like I said, people can walk and chew gum at the same time. I hope y'all think this. You will forever consider that term very differently when you hear it being said. That, yes, people are walking and chewing gum at the same time, but not in alignment to the values to which they speak of. Did not think this was going to be how I start this episode. But in light of the world around it, I cannot ignore my feelings and my real thoughts. And I get it. People want to be happy about a football game. But at the same time, when the shit hits the fan, which it will, there'll be something this week, next week, later this month, where we'll be reminded that all of this quote unquote joy that we're trying to have about this shit, we'll be reminded very quickly that the same folks that were in quote unquote celebration with us are going to be the same people that's going to be against us and create the problems that perpetuate the harm. How do I know this? Because we done did this already. And quite frankly, I'm bored with the record. It's the same record. The same record. You know? People are speaking some real good words. They're saying, I enjoyed the win. After the parade, we got some serious work to do, is what people are saying. I agree with that. But the problem is that I just think that we just get caught in massive distraction. Elected officials all over the city are going to use this opportunity to distract and to create more and more, you know, deflection from responsibilities that they have on issues that impact us seriously. Just some food for thought. But go birds. Moving along. So this week is great. I'm looking forward to this week beyond all the madness. My week has gotten more busy because now I'm going to have to see more and more Eagles fanfare and craziness for the rest of the week on my news cycle. Yes, more gross capitalism. Sell me some shit I don't need. Ooh, green cocktails. Ooh, green cookies. Ooh, donuts with green shit on it. Ooh, local news telling us about a bunch of silly Eagle stories and attention seeking Philadelphians looking for more crazy crap to just take our minds off of the crazy shit going on in the world as if we need more distraction. Actually, I think we need to turn the TV on and actually pay the fuck attention. But I digress. My anniversary is this week. Mr. Johnson and I, our relationship anniversary. So, as you all know, our wedding anniversary is October 16th, but our relationship anniversary is February 13th, which is the day before Valentine's Day. So, we'll be celebrating 11 years as a couple, which is super exciting. And of course, that's going to segue into a Valentine's Day weekend, anniversary weekend, and Mr. Johnson's birthday, which is next Monday. So it's gonna be like a three for all celebration. But because our marriage is you all know my birthday is October 12th, so the gap between our marriage anniversary and my birthday is 4 days. The gap between our relationship anniversary and Mr. Johnson's birthday is 4 days. So the way we do this is the anniversary is one weekend and his birthday celebration is another weekend. And that's the same way with my birthday. Our anniversary is one separate celebration and my birthday is another. Birthdays are celebrated with friends, anniversaries are celebrated with us. So that's how we've done it for the past couple of years. And it's worked. We got a nice little winter first top of the year bang, and we got a nice end of the year bang fall situation. So it's always a good time. February is always crazy. October's always crazy for us. And it's just love. Love is in the air. So I'm going to be celebrating love this week, this upcoming weekend, and this week in general. So I'm looking forward to that. Things I did this week, before we get into these hot topics, I saw Come From Away at Ensemble Arts at the Academy of Music this week. It was I have to get used to not saying the word Kimmel. I'm so used to saying Kimmel Center. I guess the Kimmel Center exists, but they go by Ensemble Arts. So that's what I have to say now, which is hard. I'm working on it. It's been a while, but Ensemble Arts. Formerly Kimmel Cultural Center or Kimmel Center, but it's Ensemble Arts is what it's called now. And I saw Come From Away, which is based on a true story, a very interesting musical. I loved it. It was very, very good. Very, very good. Very modern, a new musical that came out a couple years ago. I want to say around 2018 it came out. The musical is based on a true story of 9/11 when there were some planes and people traveling from around the world. There was several planes that stopped around Canada, and I want to make sure I pronounce the area right, but it's an area that is called Newfoundland town of Gander. So this all happened in the Newfoundland town of Gander during the week of the September 11th attacks. And basically, these individuals were traveling, but during 9/11, a lot of the planes had to instantly go down. They had to separate, and that's where it had to go. So this area they were at, this small area, this area, this small town that's in the Canadian province, they took care of them, fed them. They had to stay there until planes could depart back to their regular areas. So this is a true story that happened where they were basically, all these different travelers from around the world were in this area, this little small town where they had to quickly provide food and shelter and resources to basically make these people accommodated. And it was a beautiful story. It was good music, a very good musical. Definitely a moment in time, in a different world that we will never know. It made me think about what was America like in the world like before 9/11. I was 9 years old because September 11th was about a month before my birthday. So was 9 years old during 9/11. And I remember it like it was yesterday, being taken out of the school. I was in, oh goodness, what was it, fourth grade? I was in fourth grade, I think then. Yeah, I was in fourth grade. And I remember just getting that phone call. Just like, I remember they were just like, they called me. And I just remember a bunch of kids kept being missing. Like, there was a phone call, and the teacher was just like, oh, so and so, go to the front office, get your things. And I remember it was like 3 kids before I was called because I didn't know what was going on because we didn't have a TV in our classroom or anything. And I just remember the world was just, I mean, just a lot of things. A lot of things was interesting about that experience. And they do talk about the Islamophobia in the musical. There was some interesting notes. But it was a powerful musical. There were no intermissions. It was straight, like around 90 minutes long. And it was the shortest musical I've ever seen. Because most of the musicals, there'll be act one, act two, there's intermission. It's like 2.5 hours. But this one was very good. It was to the point, very cute, enough energy, high energy, great songs, a great book. It was very humorous, very passionate. It was great. It was really good. So I definitely enjoyed the musical, and I'd never seen it before. So it was great to see it. It was at Ensemble. It came to Philly a couple years ago, and it seems to be very popular. So, Welcome to the Rock, which what the musical, the lead musical song was, Welcome to the Rock. But no, it was very good nonetheless. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Um, Other things I did this week. So I had a lot of Aquariuses. I got a lot of Aquarius friends. My good friend Manny just celebrated his birthday. And then right after that, my good Judy Sharon, we went to dinner at Pearl and Mary this week. And, Michael Scholston just knows how to do a restaurant, baby, okay? Pearl and Mary, I go often, but I go okay, so in my world, going to a restaurant often means more than 2 times a year. Because as you know, I go to new restaurants like all the time. And I have a couple of staples that I go to more than once, but that's based on, like I go to Rex of the Royal a lot because I like Chef Angie, and that's just one of my my little comfort spots. That fried chicken, I mean, it just nothing beats it, right? And then Booker's I used to go frequently, not as much anymore. But Booker's is a place I will sometimes go to a lot. The Love, I go to the Love a lot for lunch. You will catch me at the Love at least once a month for somebody's lunch. Other places I go to, like actually physically go to. Now there's some places that when I order from Uber Eats. And so, I get my caviar where I get, I order from one of the food places. Now there's some places that I don't physically go to a lot, but I order a lot, delivery from them, like a lot of takeout. Because they take out, it hits. Pattaya for Taiwanese food, Pattaya's takeout is banging. Saad's Halal, y'all know how I love y'all. I get them often. Another one. What's my Indian spot that I like to get food from? New Delhi. When I have an Indian crave, which is like once a month, I gotta go to New Delhi. Kilimanjaro. I go there, get some African. But another place I do like is I'm gonna butcher their name. Le Merengue. That's that Southwest African restaurant. I go there. I order a lot from them too when they're available because sometimes they be running out of things I like. But I gotta get my fix. I love to give me some Qdoba. That's just one of my love. I love Qdoba. Qdoba over Chipotle every day. For those who know, okay, my Tex-Mex and me, I cannot do Chipotle. There's nothing about Chipotle I want. I'm good on Chipotle, but that Qdoba, baby, that make your own bowl, I'm getting it once a week. It's always a once a week for me. I'm going to have Qdoba like once a week or once every week. It is, again, these are my guilty pleasures. I've never revealed all of these places that I go to, but there's like a delivery list that I have in rotation, which is separate from I go out and eat. Now, another place I love to get Oh my goodness, they're all so good. Is apricot stone, apricot stone for my Mediterranean and my Lebanese. Whenever I want my apricot stone, baby, for dinner. When I don't, because I barely cook, even though I can cook, but that apricot stone hits too. Okay, so there's a couple of places I just named to you all. Oh, what's the other one I love? I love pho. Oh, there's a place I love to get pho from, and I get it for lunch, and I always get pho from them. It's like my other addiction too. Um, it's my other addiction because I can't get enough of them. Let me tell y'all who they are because they do it big for me. Actually, I'm just gonna pull up my little phone when I get my order. See, I got Popeyes on here. Sometimes I get Popeyes. Okay, so let me read my picks. Bond, that's what it is. I love Bond. Banh. Bond, that's my little go-to for pho. I love Popeyes. I will get Popeyes like once a month. Okay, Popeyes hits. I got Pattaya on here. I always get Pattaya. Sankey Noodle House. I will get Sankey Noodle House a lot too. Shout out to them. Other places I go, Five Guys. I've been having a Five Guys, I've been in love with Five Guys, but this is because Five Guys is on Spruce, and I live in the University City area and in the Spruce area, so it's easy to come to me. And it comes to me hot and fresh, and the fries are hot. So Five Guys is my guilty pleasure sometimes. When I get a cheesesteak and I don't feel like waiting in a line, I'm not gonna tell y'all where I go because y'all gonna judge me. No, y'all not. Forget it. I'm gonna tell you. Cleavers. Yes, I do get Cleavers cheesesteaks delivered. I'm just scrolling down on my recent orders of my frequent. I only got a couple of places. Oh, Hip City Veg when I want to feel healthy. I do get Hip City Veg once a week because I do partake in Meatless Mondays. Not all day Meatless Monday, but like maybe lunch or dinner. And then Corner Bakery. I love Corner Bakery. Judge your aunt. Everybody got that one little cheesy deli place they like to get. I do like Corner Bakery. It's something that does for me. I know the girls like Panera Bread, but I love Corner Bakery. Shout out to Corner Bakery. And then what is the other one? What's another one on here that I get often? Hmm. Oh, Primos. Yes, I do get Primos a lot too. And Liberty Kitchen West when they're open. Other than that, that's it. That's like my cycle. Honeysuckle Provisions used to be always on here, but they're not open anymore. There's no more Honeysuckle Provisions, y'all, because Honeysuckle's about to become a restaurant that's going to be over there in Broad. But that's it. If you go through my Uber Eats account and you just looked at all my orders, those are the main ones in rotation. Like when I'm scrolling, it's like the same six places I just named to you all in that rotation. But nonetheless, Pearl and Mary is a place I like to go to in person. I love their happy hour. I love their dinner. I love their branzino. I love the way they make their branzino. The branzino comes with like a lettuce wrap situation with this really good like Thai chili spice to go with it. It's incredible. Their branzino and Lock Bar's branzino are very different, but some of my favorite branzinos in the city. But it was a great dinner. She got the Grand Plateau. She got the seafood tower because she loves that. We got cocktails. The key lime pie dessert was fabulous. They had a blueberry cobbler that was a special that was delicious. We had the crab spaghetti, which blew my mind. Happy we got that. That was really good. But it was a good time. Dinner was fabulous. Next day, caught up with a friend, did happy hour. Another one of my favorite spots. Also, this is in University City, Dim Sum House, which there is one in Rittenhouse on like around 19th and Chestnut, but there is one in University City on 40th and Chestnut. That is my favorite. Jane G, baby, you do your thing over there at Dim Sum House. First of all, they got one of the best happy hours. Their happy hour is Tuesdays through Fridays, from 5 to 7. It's never super, super packed. You can go to the bar and not be at the bar, and the happy hour menu still sits in place. They got good deals. The food is really good, and it does not disappoint. It's always a staple whenever I want Chinese food at a restaurant, right? Really love them. Does not disappoint. And then this weekend, I just chilled. It was like Mr. Johnson made a really good soup. He can make some good soup, child. He made a really good chicken noodle soup. We're not under the weather or anything, but it's that time of the year where you just want a good pot of something. Whether it's nice curry lentils, which is what he also made, or is it, I want a really good hearty chili. It's just that time of the year. I feel like we're finding that weather where you just want a bowl of something warm and hearty and filling. And, yes, I can order from Bond and get me some pho. But when I'm pho'd out, which I'm not really ever pho'd out. I get pho at least once a week now. But when I want an actual soup, a homemade soup, one that's made, put some dill on top, give it that seasonal kick, that squeeze of lemon, that lemon zest to give it that you know, uh, nothing beats a good homemade chicken soup. So that's what we had, a good homemade chicken noodle soup. And yeah, it was a very relaxed weekend. I caught up on some work. I definitely fully decompressed from the crazy Grammys weekend from last week, which took my time this week. My students were definitely alert this week. They were on it. I don't know. They missed me. They missed me this week. They got all of me this week too. But this was very, very good, relaxed week. Um, but yeah, the week was chill. And the rest of the world was clearly not. So we get into the hot topics. We get into the hot topics. Okay. So there's some things that needs to be said about this administration. And, now that we're into Trump 2.0, the way in which I discuss the Trump administration, how I'm going to discuss the Trump administration, I've taken some time to really think about how do I want to discuss it, because I can't just simply ignore it, but I'm also not going to be an alarmist. And I think we're all tired of that, to be honest. I have had some conversations in certain organizations I'm a part of, certain groups, and as a leader, I just had my organization, Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists. We just had our big, huge kickoff meeting this past week, membership meeting. People came. We did an upfront of all our upcoming events. We got a lot of cool stuff coming up the agenda, y'all. I am so excited this year for what we got going on and some of the great work that we're doing. But, conversation, the question that came up, that came up, and it's my philosophy about how I feel about all of these things. But it was, one of my members had asked, and it was very, they were very, it wasn't, it was very a genuine question. They were just saying, how are we going to respond to the Trump administration? Like, what should we do about our programming? Should we be doing panels? Should we be doing discussions and this, then, and third? And I was listening to them, and this is a very meaningful question. They really asked it. But I also gave a very considerate answer that I took some strong consideration on. And my answer was simply no. I just was like, I don't think the nature of what we do needs to be centered around that man in that way. I think when he first won in 2016 and we had the first Trump administration, the organization, this is before I was the president, before I was the vice president, but there was this hyper focus on organizations like PABJ and other groups to create panels and workshops and conversations about, Trump administration, how to survive, what to do, da, 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 da. And everybody did that. And we did that for those 4 years. All of the Trump coverage, all of the over the top, every little thing, Trump, Trump, Trump. And it just sucks to life. And I think that for Black organizations like PABJ, when I remember it, a lot of these groups and organizations wanted to collaborate with us and collaborate with Black groups and diversify and hear our voices. And it was all these people who wanted to do that, right? But what I realized in that time period was that we were in many ways exploited because people just took. They just wanted to have a Black voice, a marginalized voice, to share these thoughts and to feed into the fear-mongering of it all. And everyone did that at the time back then during Trump's first term, because we all thought it was going to be a way that we were going to learn from the lessons and build and make sure it doesn't happen again. And so we did that, right? And then Biden got elected. Black Lives Matter was happening during that election. And they just forgot about Black folks. They just say, we don't need more DEI. We don't need to, we got it from here. The white progressive groups and all the white advocacy groups and everybody, they let Black people, they once again neglected us. They sucked us up for what they needed us for. And then they went off and did their thing all over again and ignored Black voices and kind of just thought, we got it from here. We just needed it for that. And those groups like PABJ and others, had to go out and find money and fend for ourselves, right? They used us as a data tool to get the information. Then they turned around, wrote grants, took pictures with us, right? And then ran off and got big foundational dollars to create their predominantly white, advocacy groups and left us behind. And then the racial uprisings happened. And then they remembered us again. And then we got some money. And then they quickly forgot about us again. And so this is a cycle, is what I'm getting to. And so here we are. And these same groups want to come and let's talk. No. No, we ain't doing that again. And so where I'm at and where I'm situated at right now is in a space of I just want to engage, fulfill, and empower my community the way that I can best see fit. And I'm not saying that I don't collaborate and I don't want to be in solidarity with people, but what I'm saying is that we got to do this a little differently. And so a lot of the work that people are just going to be doing is going to be really focused on the mission. And that's really about empowering, emboldening, supporting Black voices, Black journalists, Black media professionals. And those who want to support and embody and empower us can do so. But deviating off of that mission, trying to put our energy and resources to these larger collective pots where we get erased, denied, belittled, patronized, tokenized, that's not happening anymore. Because I done seen history and I won't let it repeat itself under my watch. And so how do Black creators, journalists, leaders, organizations, advocacy groups, how do we respond in a Trump era? I don't know the answer for everybody else, but I'm going to tell you what I envision. I envision us focusing on us and really figuring out how we take care of each other and how do we build each other up during these times. And how do we be intentional about doing that without deviating in different spaces and places? My good friend Lauren Footman has a great podcast that she's been doing for the past, that just launched this year. And it's so important, for so many people, this podcast that she has. It's for Black women. It's a respite for sisters. It's what it's called. And sisters, okay? This is very intentional on that. But she talks a lot about, DEI and how a lot of times this type of advocacy work that Black women do within their spaces, how they will be encouraged to pour themselves into this larger pot for everybody. But when the pot begins to disperse all of these collective riches and goods, there's nothing left for them at the table. And that happens to a lot of people. And I see it happen to queer people. I see it happen to young people. I see it happen to Black people. I see it happen. And I think I'm at a space now where I just want to be more intentional. And I think it just can't be the same record over and over again. It's time for those who call themselves accomplices and all these other terms, allies, all this, to just stop running around saying that title, but doing that work and recognizing that the cause of solidarity has to look a little different this time around, because once again, we find ourselves in this situation. And if people was doing their job right the first time, and I'm not talking about marginalized people specifically, I'm not even talking about Black people specifically, then how did we get back here? Somebody was lying. Somebody wasn't telling the full truth. Somebody wasn't keeping it all the way 100. And if that's the case, then how can we do the same thing we did, 8 years ago now and expect a different result? Something's got to change. And so I want to see in this era, white people resist, There was this funny joke online. It was a meme or something that was saying how like white women be like, um, oh, joy is an act of resistance, says the white woman who has never actually practiced any other form of resistance outside of joy. And while some people can listen, I'm not going to say not all anymore. I'm not going to do that. We got to do something differently now. I don't have to say not all. A hit dog will holler. If it applies to you, you're hit by it, you're offended by it, then that means I'm talking about you. If you can listen to that and understand who that's directed to and you feel like that's not you, then you know why? Because as a man who's a feminist, I identify as a feminist. Whenever I hear women talk about men, and talk about the problematic things with men, I never interrupt them and say, not all men, because I know they're not talking about me. And I've never corrected a woman, ever. And ever. When a woman will say men are trash, men are fucked up, I be like, sure is, girl. Because men be fucked up to me too. I am not going to argue with a woman on that. At all. So when I say white women be problematic and transactional at times, if you're not that white woman, do not say not all white women, Ernest. Don't do that. Because why do you feel like you got to speak on behalf of white women? When we know collectively there's problems there. Because we saw them numbers. If you wasn't one of them women, you shouldn't be saying anything. Just saying. Like, I'm never going to argue on behalf of men. I'm going to say not all men. I'm not doing that. Women have every right to feel the way they feel about men. Men as a whole in society is fucked up society. If you want to narrow down and say black queer men, maybe black queer men at the far end of that line. But I'm not going to argue because I'm not a hit dog that's going to need to holler because I understand the context. And if you're a true accomplice, an ally to any marginalized group in different spaces, then you recognize it's not the fuck about me. It's not about my fucking feelings right now. It's about how you feel in this argument, in this pursuit. So sometimes I just need folks to respectfully shut up and listen when it comes to trying to understand and engage and hear the concerns of marginalized folks in different spaces. Because I do it. I think we all should do it. And I've learned because I do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I go in spaces and people talk about, I've gone to conferences, I do workshops, and there'll be people who will say, listen, as a person who's disabled, these are the things that impacted me on my trip to this event. We need to make this more, accommodations friendly. Now, I'm talking about what is said to me from people who have issues with mobile spaces, accessibility issues. I shut up and listen. As an able-bodied person in that situation, I listen. I say, you know what? Tell me things I don't know so I can be better and I can improve. And I'm never going to be offended because it's not about me in that moment. And I think I have seen some things lately, not in my own personal life, but just online and just in spaces where I'm like, why are Black people specifically having to consistently make clarifications to folks that's supposed to be in community with them that's supposed to mean well? Like, why at this point do white people have to tell a Black person, not all white people? Well, if it's not all white people, it's a lot of y'all. It's a majority of you all. And if you don't like to hear it, then what you gonna do about it? But the onus is not on that Black person because that harm that's being experienced is not about a persona. It's about what is symbolized and how it impacts people's lives. There's some things to think about. When I hear women talk about sexism in society, when I hear women talk about wage gap disparity, sexism, all of the things, sexual harassment, Me Too, I am not arguing with women about that. I'm just not. It's not an argument. Am I a rapist? Am I a sexual abuser? No. But you know what? There's a lot of men that do. And I know men like that. And I've called men out like that. I've wrote about men like that. I've exposed men. I've counseled men for that. And so I am not going to sit up and interrupt and say, not all of us are bad. Fuck out of here. If they know me for my deeds and know me for my work, I should not have no problem. But I think too many people who are in positions of oppressiveness are too busy centering themselves and trying to guard their feelings while in the pursuit of considering those who are not only feelings are hurt, but their bodies are hurt. And I just think there needs to be a recensoring in the way in which we go about these conversations. So I just want to say that. Um, which gets back to my larger point about what to do with Trump. Where I stand on it is I'm just going to give you all the information and provide context on how to navigate these tricky waters in a way that is going to hopefully reduce the level of misguided frustration and stress. Because let me just say this shit is going to be stressing. I mean, the shit that this man has said, the threats he has made, the things Trump has done already is very much frustrating, angering, for many people, depressing. It's real. Those feelings are real. So I just want to be able to say, for starters, I'm not trying to tell people nothing's happening, shut up, don't feel the way you feel. No, the feelings are real. But what I want to do with my platform is channel and help inspire, inform, and allow people to recognize and navigate, hopefully, a reasonable and measured understanding and expectation balance here. Because in some cases, there are, and I'm going to be really clear and very frank, that there are people who are invested in creating and raising up fear in a way that makes people do things that will sabotage themselves in ways that may not be necessary or required. Hear me out on this. There are bad actors in our ecosystem, in our society, online, on platforms that are determined to spread misinformation, to get us in fear and panic, to try to create situations that will sabotage us professionally, socially, medically, politically. It is a real thing. And in the Trump administration is creating the chaos to have us do the things that they cannot outright do to us. Let me be very clear. There is a silver lining here. And I know it's hard to be optimistic right now. Let me just say I get it. But let me be clear. As long as you have air coming down your lungs, as long as you have a heart that is still beating, as long as you are choosing to wake up every day and live and choose life, then you have to also choose to fight in some type of way. I'm not saying physical fighting, but choosing to resist in your own way every day. And there's ways that we can all do this without it having to be as catastrophic or doomsday. Okay? If you're going to live with a sense of optimism and hope. Otherwise, what's the point of getting up in the morning? What's the point in living, right? That there is things bad happening and there are things that are being plotted. Yes. But at the same time, if you're going to choose to live, if you're going to choose to get up and do what you're doing, then do so with a sense of clarity and a sense of real processing of what you're receiving, and do not allow all of this chaos to put you in a state of pessimism and self-sabotage, because that's exactly what this is about. Part of the plan of Trump is, in many ways, to get people to, in many ways, commit a level of social, professional, financial suicide. Okay? And what I mean by that is that if he gets enough people to feel like they're completely helpless, folks will do reckless things to themselves, to their communities, to their livelihoods. And in many ways, he wants to do that so that he doesn't have to force it himself. Because he cannot get rid of us all. He cannot end our communities, our culture, our civilization. He cannot. He will not, and he cannot. But what he would love to do is entice enough fear that people will begin to just surrender so that it can make it easier for him to invade and encroach his ideals upon other people. He did that in 2017. He's trying to do it now. And he's gotten better, right? Because he's been emboldened to a different degree, right? This country right? White voters at large gave this man the pass to try to do this shit again. He will not win. He will not succeed. He will have some punches, but he will not win the war. But the amount of punches he gets is determined by how we choose to react and to respond. And what needs to happen right now is more of us need to understand what he says and what he does. Because what he says and what he does are not necessarily the same exact thing. And what's actually happening is giving me a little bit of optimism to let you all realize that there are some contradictions, and the news is not doing a good job, y'all. I'm sorry, I gotta call out the media. The media is not doing a good job at this. They suck. And I really want to say that sadly, the press is divided. Half of the press, well, I'm being generous by saying half, but let me just say half. Half of the press wants to inform us and empower us to make smart decisions. The other half of the press wants to sensationalize, put us in fear, and just keep the coffers going to make money, to keep their fucking starving, draining, traditional ass media alive. Okay? We got two different sides. Not everybody is on our side. They are not like us. But something that was very interesting that I'm gonna read. Some of this is coming from the New York Times early this week, but this is something that I just want people to take in consideration. That there has been a lot of energy from this presidency. There's been lots of executive orders, confirmations, firings, and he is not disciplined. He's been looking less disciplined than he has done in a while. These past few days, this past week, has been a lot of chaos, right? There's been some grand pronouncements, but they've actually failed to change any government policy. Okay? Let's talk about the fact that he threatened these tariffs on Canada and Mexico. But did y'all also forget, or did y'all get the big headline, that he also postponed them in exchange for the countries promising to do things that they were already going to do? So the tariffs on Canada and Mexico, y'all, they didn't happen. They're not happening right now. They're postponed. Did you know that part, the postponed part? Probably not. Because you heard so much media attention talking about Canada and Mexico about to get these tariffs. Everybody was freaking out. Y'all, it has not happened. They've been postponed. Take a sigh of relief for now. Let's all take a sigh. Breathe in, breathe out. Hold on, breathe in. Breathe out. For now, okay? Then, last Tuesday, Trump had said he had a plan for the U.S. to take over Gaza. But even American allies, like Saudi Arabia, dismissed that and said it was unworkable. And it was even the reaction to that announcement, when he talked about Gaza, right? Everybody was fighting and pointing fingers. The reaction to that was so bad that a lot of the White House aides the next day, okay, walked back all those parts of that plan. So all this talk about making Gaza Riviera and all that, y'all, it ain't happening. That was just him talking big shit. It didn't happen, okay? Neither of these policy announcements are likely to lead to any tangible accomplishments. The tariffs, the Gaza stuff, all of that stuff, y'all, it's not going to amount to anything. And in many ways, he's starting to look weak, right? Because initially, Steve Bannon, who is an advisor to Trump, y'all know Steve Bannon, he's been around. The whole idea, the strategy was called flooding the zone, right? That all these over-the-top announcements, people thought that they could benefit Trump or have some benefit. Steve Bannon thinks that, quote unquote, flooding the zone is that doing all these stunts so that Trump's political opponents cannot focus on stopping any of the things, right? He believes that by doing these types of things, like saying Gaza is going to be the Riviera of the Middle East, that it can stop Democrats from being able to, challenge him or focus on the fact that Elon Musk's campaign is against foreign aid. Like the whole plan of flooding the zone, like creating all of these announcements is going to distract Democrats, right? His opposition on being able to address any of the things he's doing. That's what they claim the plan is, you know. But some of this is gonna hurt, right? Because a lot of his supporters, they got these ambitious goals. Some of they're gonna remake federal policy. They want to cut taxes. They want to reduce the size of the government. They want to, you know, create more American jobs through manufacturing. They want to deport undocumented immigrants. They want to restrict immigration. They want to end council culture and all this woke stuff. They want to control China and get them under control. They want to, you know, weaken Iran. They want to do all this stuff with Saudi Arabia and Israel, and they want to pull back from Europe. They want to do all this stuff. But the problem is that this shit is going to fall flat, you know. Is not going to get his team to get into any of these goals. And so what you're seeing with Trump is that he's doing a lot of cultural war shit, right? Like the stuff around banning transgender women from playing sports, right? You know, the NCAA is supporting that, right? And you got some Republicans being so happy about it. Okay, so he banned trans women from playing sports, or he's trying to with executive order. He's trying to. Come on. Come on, let's be real. The attention and the resources of Trump's administration is limited. He keeps making these long shot policies, you know, to pursue these things, right? You know, his first term, he didn't really get so many policies accomplished. I mean, okay, the Trump tax cuts were good for him. Let me be very clear, not for the economy. But the Trump tax cuts is what he did, right? He got that big one. But outside of that, nothing happened. Infrastructure week, that never became a law, right? He never had a peace deal with North Korea. The COVID treatment ideas that he tried to propose, that didn't happen. This tariff stuff, what happened with that? The tariff shit is not going to happen, y'all. Not in the ways that we thought it was. Because even Fox News didn't even agree with it. This week, Fox News started to name all the things that was going to hit by these tariffs. And I thought we was worried about the cost of eggs. Y'all know that if he did them tariffs on Mexico and Canada, right? Tomatoes, avocados, everything was about to get hit. How was that going to fix the economy? I'm confused. How was that going to do what y'all was blaming Biden for? Oh, okay. Yeah, just again, I'm not saying that we should just completely put our hands up and just be completely optimistic. But what I am saying is, I just want people to recognize that there is hope. And that even with the situation going on with Elon Musk trying to get our personal information, a federal judge has stopped that and put a clap at his access to certain documents. What's going to be important right now is the role of federal judges, lawsuits, judges, attorneys, right? The courts is going to be our friends in some cases, in many cases. And elected officials, Democrats who don't know what the fuck they're doing, because let's keep it 100. Democrats are disappointing me. They still don't get it, y'all. Okay, I'm going to say some things, and I'm just going to make some people feel some type of way. But I'm going to say what a lot of people won't say. I'm getting tired of Congress. Democratic Congress people. I'm getting tired of them, their shenanigans. They're doing too much talking on CNN and MSNBC. There's too many jokes. There's too many stunts. Do what needs to be done. Figure it the fuck out. Get with them Republicans that are over there that is not completely sold on Trump in Congress. Figure this shit out. Less talk and more motherfucking walk. I am getting very tired of a lot of the theatrics and the back and forth tomato slinging. The Republicans are going to do what they're going to do because they winning. Okay, they got some majorities, they got some stuff. Democrats, stop acting like y'all have a majority, because when y'all get the majority, y'all even do the things that need to be done. It's like sometimes I'm like, I can't wait for the midterms next year because I'm like, oh, maybe the Democrats will take back the House, which I think they can do. But then I'm like, okay, but if they take back it, are they going to do anything with it? Are they going to try to, reason with both sides? Whenever y'all get a win, Democrats, y'all never go hard. Like these Republicans are doing everything right now. They're doing everything what they got. Can we be unapologetically just do what the fuck we want to do for real, for real? Can y'all go in ham, push the Equality Act out the door, codify Roe v. Wade, do whatever you got to do to get all of this stuff done? Can y'all just, when y'all get these majorities back, can y'all actually do something and not give a fuck about what people think in the Bible Belt in the South? Can y'all just do the things that make people give a fuck? Because maybe if you do that, you'll get voters who were apathetic from voting last time, that didn't vote for Trump, but didn't vote for Kamala. Can you get them to get back and have a reason to vote? Because I promise you, if you actually deliver on the things you say you give a fuck about, people will have a reason to go to the polls and vote. The reason why people are lacking voting to a certain extent, even though I'm frustrated with that, but the reason why people are not voting is that they're either like, look, Republicans are going to fuck us over, but guess what? Democrats are just not going to do a damn thing. I don't think they're both the same. Okay, I do believe that Republicans and Democrats are not the same. However, I just think that the very incremental approach that the Democratic Party has in the midst of all this chaos gives people no fucking hope. And it's giving people a lack of morale to care about our government and our civic system. People give a fuck now because people are fearful, right? And I think, elections do have consequences, but damn it, Democrats, you got to do a little bit more than just telling us how bad the other side is. Because that's getting old. And I'm just over the antics. I'm over people being opportunistic. I'm tired of people just trying to go viral. I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. Like, I'm over it. Like, Jasmine Crockett, with all due respect, okay, as a Texan by upbringing, the Jasmine Crockett's of the world, I look at her interviews. I see her a lot. Great. You got some great zingers, some great one-liners. But I just would like to see more actual work. I just think there's a lot of people right now that just want to get airtime to talk and talk and talk. Can we get less of that and more of the actual work? Can I hear about the legislation that you're doing that's not symbolic, that's not, a resolution-esque type of thing, but something that's really going to actually put a stop to Trump? Can we talk about the policies more and less about the personal dynamics and the clapbacks and shit? Like, I'm just tired of that. This is not a fucking game. Like, people's lives are being impacted. I'm just getting annoyed with politicians across the board. I'm just over the social media. I'm over the reels. I'm over the fucking self-grandizement of the shit. Like Democrats in Harrisburg, from Harrisburg to Congress. I'm just tired of all of the showboating. Like, people are out here literally do not know how they're going to be able to afford their medicine. They don't have any access to, they're worried about their job security right now. They're worried about their future. They're worried about their kids' future. They're worried about the future of their education. And there's people that just having too much fucking fun. And it frustrates me because as a journalist, I am on the ground. Okay. I get phone calls, tips, messages from regular everyday people that are like frustrated about what their government's not doing. And as a journalist, I'm frustrated when I go to these buildings, I go to these meetings, I go to these press conferences, and I get a bunch of fucking fluff. Do y'all know why I don't go to press conferences? I don't know if y'all know this, but I barely go to press conferences. I don't know if y'all don't know that. But if you ever see me at a press conference, it's like probably once or twice a year. I do not go to press conferences. And part of it is because I grew up in this political world of communications where, I was a fellow at city council. I know what they do. I have a husband as a comm director. I know what they do. They lie or they derail, they distract, they bullshit. It's nothing that is newsworthy, or it's something that, I can just watch it later. Like, I don't go to press conferences barely anymore. Not for politicians. Because it's a lot of showiness. It's a lot of pictures. It's a lot of videos. It's out of reels. It's out of flexing. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing right now? It's too much, and it's just so tone deaf. Like I gotta go in. I was gonna save this, but I gotta go in on this council president. Okay, Kenyatta Johnson. I is there time for intervention? It's been a year. I think there's an intervention that needs to happen with this council president. I think the ego needs to be checked. I think his team needs to sit him down and say, "What the fuck are you doing?" Because whatever you're doing, buddy, it ain't hidden. It ain't hidden. Like this is just tone deaf. You want to know the most tone deaf shit ever? Well, not ever, but in recent weeks. So, okay, because I'm gonna say it because ain't nobody gonna tell y'all this, but I'm gonna tell y'all behind the scenes because it was crazy. Last Wednesday, the day before the Thursday City Council sessions, there was a memo, right, that the mayor had basically sent off and said that the city, or at least the mayor's office, was going to delay the office opening. So basically, because of the incoming snow and ice concerns, which of course there wasn't the big old blizzard, the weather was manageable, wasn't a big old blizzard, there wasn't any ice on the ground as much as people thought it was going to be, but there was a fear the weather was going to be concerning, right? So the Mayor Sherrill Parker, basically said, look, we're not going to open. We're going to take a delay in the schedule. We're not going to cancel the day, but there will be a delay at 11 a.m. So basically all of her staff and the office and everything like that for the mayor's end was going to not start until 11 a.m. That sent an echo chamber to other institutions. The school district, CCP, which is where, of course, you know I'm a professor at, they sent a notice out that said, look, we're not going to start classes until 11 a.m. Because if the mayor of the city is basically saying that she does not think it is safe for her employees and her staff, then the mayor is saying that. I think that sends an echo to everybody else in this goddamn city that, you know what, let's not start anything until 11 a.m. Okay? That was the rule. What does this city council president do for city council? He sends a notice out to all the reporters, including myself, his staff, to everybody else in city council office and chambers, and says, oh, actually, chambers is going to start on time at, we're going to start at 10 a.m. and we're going to, city council is going to come at 9:30. Everything is starting on time. And pretty much gave us the mayor can say what she going to say, but we going to do what we going to do. It's like, I'm sorry, I did not know there was a measuring contest between whose ego was bigger than the mayor's, but what the fuck? So I remember getting this email that night. This is Wednesday night before Thursday. I'm like, how the fuck is city council going to start at 10 a.m. and we got to be there at 9:30 and we got to be there? And how is that starting before everybody the fuck else? So I remember talking to my husband. I was like, this shit is dumb. And he's like, I don't know. That's what they said. I said, this is going to change because I don't think this idiot, because I was frustrated, so I did say idiot, but I didn't call the council president idiot in on email. But in my mind, like, this is the most idiotic thing I've ever seen. Because everybody listening to me right now is like, wait a minute. How could he, the math was not mathing. I said, this is going to change because does he not realize that the rest of the city, including the schools and everything else, is adjusting their schedule? I'm sorry, the city council people don't have children? Do they not have families? Do other people that is going to work not impacted by this? Like, isn't the safety of the employees important? So I told my husband, I was like, let me tell you something. You ain't going to work if I'm not having to go to work. If the mayor's not letting people in, I'm not going out there risking my life. You're not going out there. I'm confused. This don't make no goddamn sense. So then about 30, 45 minutes later, all of a sudden we get an updated message from the council president's office that says, actually, we're going to start at 11 o'clock. Oh, okay. So you're going to start your shit back at, okay. I thought so. But this is what I'm talking about. The tone deafness, the egos, the pissing matches between different administrations and offices. This is what Philadelphians can't fucking stand. This is what voters cannot fucking stand. We're sick of the egos. We're sick of these stupid competitions. People are dying. People are struggling. People are not safe right now. And all of this shit that you all are doing, Democrats, amongst each other, can you please knock it the fuck off? We're over it. And at this point, I am going to start calling people out. I will name names. I already named names, but I'll name more names because I'm over it and everybody's over it. And I think what's annoying is that as a journalist, I have to sit here and see the immaturity and have to find a way to tell the public what's happening, but then also have to deal with the egos and the skirting, right? Because stuff don't make sense. So you all were asking me last week, like, why? What's going on? I'm going to tell you what's going on. The council president has a beef with the mayor. They both beefing with each other on some dumb ego shit. They both want to, prove themselves to be bigger. Well, in this case, if we're going to have to pick a winner, the mayor is the winner, duh. Because if there's any incremental weather, we're going to go on the side of caution and safety before we go on the side of, I just want to make a fucking point. And then what did they do at city council last week? Oh, that's right. We had a pep rally for the Eagles. We could not miss city council because they had to have a pep rally for the Eagles. Because that was so important. Because the council president and all his lackeys had to do a lot of reels on Instagram during their Eagles, right? And they had to prove that they could spell Eagles better than the mayor and spell it 5,000 times, throw shots. Yes, we caught the passive aggressiveness. Oh, they just had to do all their silly stuff. Their little eagle capes, they brought the former player. They had to do their declarations. They had to wear their green beads on the desk. Wonderful. Taxpayers' dollars wasted, time wasted. So you all can sit up and distract us with your eagle shit because you don't want to talk about the fact that you still fucked us over with that 76ers arena situation. And we have not forgotten it. We're going to get back on that ass after these Eagles have their little parade next week. The public needs answers and accountability is still going to be there. Okay? We're going to get there. Don't worry. You can keep eagling, go birds all you want this week to distract from the lack of accountability that's been happening. But the people have answers. They want answers. And the reality is that council got to do more than just resolutions. Listen, I grew up in Texas where city council was never this large. I'm at a point where I have a bold, modest proposal. And I'm saying this in a very much so Jonathan, the Jonathan Short way of a modest proposal. Jonathan Swift, my bad. In a Jonathan Swift way, I do have a modest proposal. My modest proposal is, I wonder if there could be a case that maybe, city council, perhaps city council should not have full-time jobs. Maybe we should make them all just part-time jobs. Maybe if we really want to save money, maybe that's going to be the reality. Now in a modest proposal by Jonathan Switch, his plan was that to ease poverty among the Irish, they should sell their babies as food, was what he proposed. And he was doing this to make a point about how wealthy landowners treat the Irish. However, in this proposal, I'm not asking for cannibalism. I am asking for a proposal that makes the case that maybe we should actually make city council not full-time jobs or full-time staff, but maybe they should be part-time jobs or part-time staff. Because I think for all the time in which city council spends all the taxpayers' dollars, all these resources to do these stupid hearings, and they barely make any actual bills and legislation, why can't we just shrink the size and the performance of city council? I mean, for all these 17 members, all these staffers, all this bureaucracy, we sure don't get that many results. There are other cities across the country that do not have full-time, full-paid city council members with full-time staff. I just wonder if that is the proposal we should have. I mean, hell, look at Harrisburg. State reps don't go to Harrisburg every week. They go once a month or something. They'll be back in March. They don't go every single week and have a session. I wonder, why do we need to have it every Thursday if they're not going to do shit? I mean, maybe just show up on Thursday. 20-hour week jobs. I mean, the performance they're giving is part-time performance. They're not giving full-time performance. Maybe the council president can be a full-time job. Maybe their office is the one that oversees But all these other offices, why do they have full-time jobs? Like, why? Why do they get full salaries and benefits? Are they working that much? Does it really require all of that? Pensions and just saying. I just think that's my mom's proposal. I mean, they won't support it. Of course not. Because career politicians want to live off of, government. They just live off of it. That's their plan. But I just want to see these bills. I want to see attendance sheets. I want to see performance. I mean, arguably, people will say performance comes at every election every 4 years. But I'm just saying, with all this money that's being spent in these budgets, I mean, if we want to talk about shrinking the government, I'm just saying maybe they shouldn't be full-time jobs. Because I'm telling you, other cities don't have city councils full-time like that. Y'all know that, right? I'm just saying. And it seems like their city councils are performing equal, if not better than ours. Might be worth a hearing or research or a task group. Maybe the mayor should create a task group. They keep fucking with her. Maybe she should create a task group to explore this phenomenon. I don't know. Let me just plant a modest proposal out there and see where it goes. But I digress. One little quick thing I want to add before I move on. TikTok is going to expire April 5th, and right now there doesn't seem to be any buyers. There was speculation for a while that Elon Musk might be interested in buying it, but he's too busy running the government to the ground with DOGE. So it doesn't look like that's happening. He says he has no interest in purchasing TikTok, which means that at this point, we have until April 5th. I thought it was longer than that, but it's not. It's a 75-day period. We're down to April 5th, y'all. What the fuck? TikTok might go away. I don't have TikTok. My husband got rid of it. We got rid of our TikTok accounts. We're done with it. You all better just start figuring out life outside of TikTok, because a couple of y'all showed y'all ass the first time we dealt with the TikTok, and we talked about that in the previous episode. But I just want to remind you all that we might want to get off of that TikTok. Just saying. So last week, Governor Shapiro announced his budget. It, for the first time ever, is going to be over $50 billion. We'll see how this budget goes. I don't know. I'm not crazy about the budget. I'm not saying it's bad. I mean, he wants to focus on providing certain services and things. I just think with the Republicans in right now and all the craziness that's happening, I don't know how far he'll go with it, but we'll see. But I also do want to acknowledge that Team PA Foundation, they pay him to go to the Super Bowl. They pay for his way to go to the Super Bowl. Let me be clear about that. $12,000 they spent previously to get him to go to sporting events. And it seems like he just don't mind taking that money. They don't disclose their donors and their details, by the way. But, some dark money to support this man to go to Super Bowl. Okay, Governor Shapiro. Okay. We keeping our eyes out. We stay woke on over there. We stay woke. Moving along. As far as local politics go, city council needs to get back to work, but that's been said earlier. I do believe that city council has been slacking behind the wheel. I mean, the mayhem is going to continue to go. I mean, I kind of was happy Super Bowl is over, because I'm just like, I want them to hurry up. But I feel like they're going to drag this shit even this upcoming Thursday session. They're going to keep dragging this shit up into the parade. But once the parade is over this week, then we'll finally get back to work, because I feel like they use this as a distraction. Even Trump going to the Super Bowl was a distraction. Like, I feel like they just want to, sports is a really good way to distract people. People just forget a lot of things in the name of sports. So there's no surprise there. But what's interesting, while y'all was worried about the Super Bowl, did y'all know that the birthday boy, former state rep Kevin Boyle, is now in the Park administration? Did y'all even peep that? Y'all, they slid that in on a Friday on his birthday. His birthday just passed. Yeah, he's in the Park administration after all the concerns over his mental health and his behavior. Yeah, he got a new job. He's in the Park administration. And y'all know that's Brendan Boyle's brother. And he's a congressman. Good congressman. I do like Brendan. But his former brother, I mean, not his former brother, but the former state rep who lost his seat, he's about to be in the Park administration. We just love to see them revolving doors. Stay woke on that, y'all. But also, something I do want to talk about pertains to Krasner. So, because y'all know I wasn't going to skip over this, okay? So, there's been talk about Krasner want to be lenient towards this very prominent attorney. He's a prominent lawyer. There was a situation that happened regarding a man named Leonard Keith Hill. He is the founder of Hill and Associates. Now, there's been a lot of talk about this. He was involved and was charged with shooting a man near a downtown cigar bar. This was in 2023, so this is about over a year and a half ago. Now, he was found near a Walnut Street cigar bar. I don't know if it was Aston or whatever. This is in Rittenhouse. This was back in September 2023, because I looked at the criminal complaint. He faced charges, including aggravated assault, weapons offense, and tampering with evidence, okay? The victim told police shots were fired because he had a verbal altercation with two men after he left this bar. Now, the police say the surveillance footage shows that he fired once when confronted and a second time while the victim was running away. Now, he fled to his car after the shooting, and he even changed his clothes before the police officers arrived in the area. And he even left without speaking to the police. Now, the bar manager, who was friends with him, helped police identify him as the shooter. He was licensed with carrying a firearm in Pennsylvania, and police removed the ammunition from his .380 caliber weapon, which he had outside. Now, he has several of these type of firearms that are registered. He does have a license to carry, and they even seized his gun box with the same caliber, and because he has a home in Ballard Kenwood. He lived in Ballard Kenwood, okay? So there was a lot going on. Now, the media has talked about Krasner giving this man a diversionary program, basically trying not to get any jail time, trying to get this man set free. Lots of special treatment. And there's been many people that have argued, even people with the public defenders who've spoken out against this and say, listen, this is very interesting because this is, people normally give these types of leniency towards people who do something that's nonviolent. This man shot somebody and even changed clothes. He wasn't even transparent, right? Really hella suspect behavior, okay? Now, everybody's like, why is this man giving this man leniency? And when the Inquirer reported on the story, they left out an important detail. Because everybody kept trying to figure out, why is Krasner being so nice to this lawyer? Do y'all know who this guy is related to? Let me say this again. He's black. His name is Leonard Keith Hill. Now, you done seen him. He's a nice looking man. He's on all these billboards, those injury attorneys. You see his billboards all over Philly. That black man, that suit with that nice smile that has his billboards all over Philadelphia. Okay? So he's got some face recognition. Right? So I have a theory why Krasner gives a fuck about this man. And you might be a little shocked listening to this podcast. His brother is Mark Lamont Hill. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Leonard Hill, that attorney that I just told you about, his brother is Mark Lamont Hill, who, as you all know, is a prominent professor. He owns Uncle Bobby's. He is a TV pundit. He's a big deal, right? Yes, his brother is Mark Lamont Hill. They have a lot going on, okay? Now, let me tell you, Hill's successful law firm handles personal injury and medical malpractice. They have been around since 1999. Okay, they got over $500 million in damages for clients is what they boast about having, right? Now, let me tell you the connection with his brother. Now, this is like, oh my God, like 15 years ago. In 2010, he represented his brother in this high-profile federal civil rights lawsuit against Philadelphia police. Exactly. So there was this big lawsuit. Mark Lamont Hill had sued the police. It got messy, and he filed a federal civil rights lawsuit against the Philadelphia Police Department and this officer named Richard D. Coatsworth, who is a cop that has been held as a hero to some people. This is back in 2010. Mark Lamont Hill at the time was 31. Dang, he's 46 now. Oof. Interesting. Um, but he defended his brother during that lawsuit. And so I'm just going to leave it at that. As you all know, Mark Lamont Hill is a strong progressive. He's a big, huge Larry Krasner supporter. He's probably donated to his campaign and has been a big advocate for him. So, I mean, is anybody going to like connect the dots? Or are we just not doing our job as journalists? I'm just saying. Guess I gotta do everybody's job for them. I don't know. I'm not saying. I just think that's a very important detail. In fact, that should not be omitted in the conversation given the optics. But what do I know? Just gonna put that on the table. And maybe listeners like you, some of you all who might be journalists, might ask the better questions. Like, I don't know, is it just a coincidence that the brother of this attorney that Krasner is trying to give a slap on the wrist to just so happens to be someone who's a multimillionaire that is also somebody who's been a supporter of his campaign? I mean, are we just not going to connect those dots? That is why you all listen to Ernestly speaking, because these are the things that Black journalists know that white journalists just don't pick up on or may not necessarily connect the dots to in mainstream media, or maybe just chose to leave it out. Who knows? All I know is maybe the reason why the Inquirer left it out was because, I don't know, he used to be a columnist at Daily News. Who knows? But when you don't give an answer or you don't provide full context, other people began to pick up where you left off. Just putting that there. So something else I want to bring up, which bleeds into my Ask Ernest, but I want to just mention this. A lot of you all have asked me about certain events that have taken place in the city at certain places that I'm affiliated with. Events about Black agendas and Black writers and other things of that nature. A lot of you all ask me questions like, hey, 6ABC has this program called Inside Story. They do every Sunday where they bring political pundits, and you all want so much from me. And I love that you all want things from me like I want things for myself. I love you all so much. And you always ask these questions like, oh, why are you not doing that? Or why are you not doing this? And, I used to be in the business of protecting people. I'm like, oh, I'm not going to, I'm a little, and I try to be mindful, and I don't say, I don't try to, piss on people's Wheaties too much sometimes, I guess. But I'm going to be real with you. There is something in this city, in the media landscape, where I see companies, whether it's media companies, whether I see publications that consistently say that they want to, diversify voices and perspectives and all these things. And one thing that we don't talk about enough, and while we talk about gender representation and racial representation, I do want to say this. In a city that consistently talks about gun violence, what to do with the youth, what to do with this population of that looks like millennials and Gen Zers and whatnot, I see too many programs, too many panels, too many workshops, too many discussion groups, too many outward public-facing programs and events where there is nobody under the age of 40 sitting at the table. And to me, that speaks volumes about the people's seriousness in doing anything that's multi-generational. In 2025, if you are having any panels, workshops, anything that does not have anyone under the age of 40 sitting at the table, you are doing it wrong. If you have a board, a nonprofit board, an organizational board or leadership team or staff, and you have no one under the age of 40 at the table, you are doing it wrong. No ifs, no ands, no buts about it. Unless it is the AARP group, If you have no one on your leadership team, if you have nobody on your board, if you have nobody on your panel or your programming that is under the age of 40, you are failing your community, you are failing the city, you are failing your organization. Period. Okay? Gender representation as well. If you got boards that got no women, you're failing. Okay? Anybody with any people of color in your community, citywide group, you're failing. Okay? You're failing. It's an F. It's an automatic F. If I look at your leadership team and I'm like, where are your executive producers? Where are your board leaders, your chairs, your deputies, your VPs? If everybody in the team is over the age of 40, you are failing. You're failing. It's an F. We got to do better at this. I'm talking, I'm 33. And it ain't got to always be me. I ain't saying me. I'm just saying, when I'm on every board that I sit on, well, clearly, if I'm on the board, then clearly I'm a part of that change. But if I don't see other people on my board, every leadership team I'm on, I want to see people under 40 on it. I'm not saying everybody got to be under 40. Clearly, that's not the case. But if we're going to talk about this multi-generational leadership, it's always this attitude of, this narrative of young people are pushing older people out. That's a lie. That's a lie. Boomers and Gen Xers are boomers really, but boomers are holding on for dear life on every goddamn thing. And Gen Xers are not doing enough to bridge these generational gaps, because I feel like Gen Xers have finally got it in, and they're just like, they came in late though. They late bloomers, to be honest. No pun intended, but the Gen Xers are kind of like late boomers, where they kind of like finally got in maybe a couple of years ago. And now they want to tell millennials and everybody else to wait. Nah, baby. The problem is we ain't got to wait. We're right on schedule. We should be leading things at this point. Millennials are not babies anymore. I don't know what it is with specifically boomers, but I got to tell y'all something, boomers. Come in closer. Boomers that listen to my podcast, come in. Turn up the volume real quick. Let me tell y'all something that's going to be refreshing for me to say, but for you all to hear. Newsflash, we're not the babies anymore. Millennials are no longer the babies, and I'm so happy. I'm a grown-ass man. I've been waiting to say this. I'm grown, okay? We're not the babies anymore. So every time y'all be like, where are my little millennials at? Baby, we're not the babies anymore. The Gen Zers, my brother, who is about to be 22 next month, he's about to graduate from Temple. That's a baby. I'm not a baby. I know some of y'all want to still say I'm a baby because I look young. I do. I'm proud of it. I look good. But I am not a baby. I pay taxes. I am married. I've been working in the job market I've been an adult for 15 fucking years. Where's the baby in that? Some of y'all like, I've been an adult double that time. Okay, we know. We fucking know. You 48-year-olds, you're 50. We know. Okay? We get it. But that being said, I'm not a baby. Y'all are dating people my age. You Gen Xers, you nasties. Y'all dating people my age. I'm old enough. I'm not listen, I'm at that. Okay, this conversation is going to go somewhere else real fast. But let's go there real quick, because I do have some things I want to say. I'm at that age where, they say the Gen Xers at the age, I'm at the age where I'm old enough to date the son or the father. Clearly, I am married to the son, but I'm just saying I'm at that age where I can date the son and the daddy. Okay, that ain't a baby. Okay, I can get the father and the son. I can get a 2-for-1 package. That's millennials. Millennials are at that age where we can do both. Okay, that means I'm not a baby. Now, my younger brother, who is the Gen Zer, if you're the father, if you're the older person in that situation, if you can't be a MILF with him, because that person is old enough to be your son's son. Okay, you can't look at him, ladies, women, older women. Okay, Gen X women can't look at him. Older millennial women, sure. But Gen Xer women that are older, don't even look at him. Okay, none of that Drea behavior. Okay, no Drea over here. But what I'm getting at is that millennials are no longer babies. We're not babies. Okay, we might be babies to boomers, but Gen Xers, you will address me as your colleague. And some of y'all, Mr. President, okay, Mr. Chairman, okay, let's be very clear. The time gap, because there's something about boomers. Like, I hear too many conversations where they just be like, oh yeah, they call everybody millennial. They call my little brother millennial. My little brother is a Gen Z, or true and true, baby. That boy was born in the 2000s. You can't even put millennials, baby. We were all 90s. Okay? We none of us, if you was born past the year, really past the year 96, but if you really want to get spicy with it, anybody born in the 21st century is not a fucking millennial. So any of y'all calling anybody that is young, that's in their, anybody, if you're calling anybody in their early 20s and teens millennials, no, wrong generation, baby. That's how I know y'all too old, because y'all still think millennials are the babies. We are grown. We senior managers, directors. We past that point. We executive producers and directors and shit. We're running shit. We are not babies. And so there's something fucked up in the food chain with the jobs. I don't know what it's giving, but I just need to have this, and I need y'all to hear me loud and clear. But the representation, I just need more people under 40 being present. Can y'all do that for me? That's my ask. Any leader, if you run a nonprofit, if you in a company or organization, and you plan events and you plan programming, I just want everybody to join me in the under 40 challenge. Okay? Hire somebody under 40. Put somebody under 40 on a panel. Promote somebody under 40. Because right now, it's just, I don't know. And I'm talking, yes, some of this is frustration I've had lately, that I've seen a lot of programming where you all have asked me, why weren't you there? And I'm looking at y'all like, good motherfucking question. I don't have the answer. But it's given ageism. It's given ageism. And it's not cute. It's not cute. Okay? So, I'm just going to put that on the table for y'all. Process that. Get into it. You know? Get into it. So, that brings me to my Ask Ernest. Early over the weekend, I had said something online about stop infantilizing grown-ass adults. I don't say this word often because I've never really had to say it as much. But recently, it has been a theme I've seen this past week. And also it's something that's been around for the past year that's been irking me. But the infantilization of white women in particular, of grown-ass adults, of certain problematic black men, has just been something that's irking, even of white men, right? Toxic, violent white men that create very heinous crimes, right? Hate crimes. What I mean by this term, infantilizing, is basically to treat people, adults, right? Let me be very clear. This is related to adults, right? It's to treat them with soft gloves like they're a baby or a child. We make excuses for them. We treat them like they're super innocent, that they're victims, that they're naive, and we handle them with kid gloves and soft gloves, even though they're fully cognizant of their behaviors, and we do this as a way for them to skirt through accountability. So oftentimes, when I think about the infantilization of certain grown adults, I think about the infantilization of white women specifically in society and culture. When white women cry in certain situations where they have done something harmful or racist or problematic, when they're being held accountable and they instantly begin to cry or begin to say they're anxious or that they're nervous or that they feel like that this is too much, and they get overwhelmed and they do that crying thing that they do, right? And we see it happen. We saw it happen during, the situation in Central Park, right? When we saw the incident that happened to Christian Cooper, the black man who was into birds, and he was at the park and he told this white woman, that white woman, which we referred to as a Karen, right? The Karen culture, right, of white women crying or becoming very childlike in their behavior and their mannerisms, the way that they will talk, the cadence of their voice, and how they will change the way their cadence of their voice, the way that they will then lean towards these very immature, dollish, premature-esque mannerisms to be able to skirt away from accountability and harm. Now, there was a term that people used to use called white fragility, and I used to use this term a lot. I'm done with white fragility. I'm not using this word anymore because I think that feeds into the infantilization of white women when they create harmful behavior, right? So what I mean by this is that they will point towards the level of instant emotional dumping, instant crying, very much plays like they're psyched out or stressed out. Anytime they're being told of something that is very shameful that they do, they will then resort to this type of mannerisms and behavior to then put them in a position where they're once again the victim, even though they're the ones who create the problem that they claim they're the victim of. This type of behavior leads to people oftentimes giving them the benefit of the doubt in situations when they've created harm. And oftentimes black women and black people specifically that are harmed by these individuals oftentimes are forced to have to be gaslit or being made to second guess or rethink their actions based on the fact that white women do this. Okay? And what's interesting about this infantilization is that society often do it, right? So when Paula Deen did the racist thing and she cried and she was playing into the old white women who will never do it again. When black folks was like, fuck Paula Deen, right? Everyone was like, oh, don't gang up on her. She made a mistake. And then we all cried cancel culture, right? White women clings to that kind of behavior, right? We've seen Taylor Swift do it, right? Taylor Swift plays into the soft, white, delicate girl who, whenever she made mistakes, she's the victim of her own incidents. When she has lied about certain things, right? She's done things that was fucked up. She's mean. And she has done things that were toxic. No, not so much now, but over the years, she has been calculating. She's done some conniving things. She has been very catty and she's done mean things. But when called to the carpet for those things, she resorted into a level of white fragility, which again, white fragility being weaponized, white femininity being weaponized, right? The ability that colorism plays into this, right? That white women will play into this docile softness that puts them in a position that they cannot do anything wrong. And so I think about this in the way in which we talk about Bianca Cesare, right? The woman who's married to Kanye, who went out and did, the nude outfit. There was a lot of people that was saying, oh, that poor innocent girl. Oh, Kanye just has her as his concubine. She's his sex slave. Oh, she needs to get away from Kanye. He's clearly manipulating her. And one of my students said this in my class. And it was interesting. The girl who said in my class was not black. She was Asian. But she just simply said that she thought that Kanye, was manipulative and has her trapped. And she was saying this. And a black girl in my class instantly rolled her eyes and sighed. And I felt that. And as a professor, I wanted to explore it because I knew what that sigh and that eye roll meant. And I felt it. And I said, I asked her, because I wanted her. I asked my student, I said, why did you roll your eyes? And she's like, what you mean? I said, I know she signed her eyes, and I feel like there was a reason for it. And I want you to share your thoughts. And she was a little hesitant at first. I said, no. Say it. Say what's on your mind. In my class, I like to have discourse. And I wanted her to say it. And she said, I think, and this is exactly how she said it. And I was like, all right, girl. I just felt it. But she said, I think it's funny how when white grown women go out and do something that people find distasteful, rather than them hold them accountable, they automatically want to blame the black man. So we supposed to believe that this black man forced her to go on the red carpet and be nude? Ooh. But if it was a black woman, she would have just been a hoe. And that's all that needed to be said. that mic drop, baby. In that class, I saw the class have a oh moment. Because nobody throughout the entire time when Kanye was dating Amber Rose or dating any other women of color prior to, Kim and everything else, I never heard anybody say that the black women he was with or the women of color that Kanye was dating were trapped or victims. They slut shamed those women. They judged them just for the same. And, at the end of the day, them women had full agency and control of their body. But somehow Bianca, or any of the other women that are white women that he dates, somehow we believe that they're slaves and they're victims and they're innocent, that they're not a part of the show. Interesting. Thought that was an interesting idea. And we got to stop doing that, right? But then, okay, on the flip side of it, this emphasizing of grown adults does not just start with white women and end with white women. We see it happen with white men, right? Where the lone wolf narrative of any of these white men that kill people. We talk about how cute they are. We saw that with the healthcare CEO killer, right? We saw that in previous instances with white boys who like Dylan Wolf and others, where we were told they had a troubled childhood and they were neglected and they were lone wolves. And we supposed to have all this empathy and we boyish them and we baby them. But when we see black young men create crimes, we treat them like adults. We actually adulterate them. We hypersexualize them. We hyper masculate them and make them more adult-like than what they really are. They don't get to be boys and be childful and innocent, right? Trayvon Martin never got to be treated like a young kid, right? We made him an adult. We treated him like a man. We treat his actions like they were so deliberate, right, to justify his killing and his murder, right? We don't do that in other spaces, right? We also see it happen with certain black men that are celebrities, right? Kanye West consistently gets treated like he's some young black boy who don't know what he's doing, when that motherfucker's a grown-ass man who's an anti-Semite, a sexist, a bigot, and everything under the sun. But yet we see people continue to try to treat him like he's some little boy who don't know what he's doing, and that there's some mental health issues, and we continue to weaponize mental health to act like mental health is what's driving this, when some of this is just his own actions. And I keep saying, every time Kanye shows his ass, I'm so sick and tired of talking about him, but I always ask the question to those who want to defend him and justify him. Okay. If you want to say Kanye has mental health issues, which I do think there might be some there, let's not also conflate that now he says he's no longer bipolar. He says he has autism. So autistic people, which I know people are autistic, right? They're not acting like this. They're not responding like this, they're not doing this. If you really believe that it's, first of all, do not say autism is what creates bigotry and Nazism and all that kind of behavior. Let's stop blaming it on autism. Kanye is a grown-ass man. He knows what he's doing. He likes the attention. He knows who to fuck with and when to turn up and when not to turn up. He picks and chooses when it's time to. And it's oftentimes when he wants to sell something. So what is he trying to sell now? Oh, that's right. Kanye got a new album out called Bully that he wants you all to know about and promote. And he wants to promote his new album, his new music. So Kanye wants to feed the audience. And you all have some of y'all got a strong call on Kanye. Kanye is just such a genius that he can do whatever he fucking wants to do. And you just like him. So rather than make excuses, just say you like the idiot, you like his music, and you're willing to put up with his bigotry because that's why he's still relevant. That is why he still get Grammy nominations. That is why he's still on the charts, because that's what you all have chosen to like. In spite of everything else, you want to support him because you like him, and that's the bed you want to lay in. Okay, own that. Own it. And move the fuck on. So, I want to add that. Also, I want to talk about the same thing with women, other women. The second lady, Usha, who's married to the vice president. You all want to create these narratives that somehow she doesn't know what she married as this Indian woman, that, she didn't know she doesn't really love her husband, that she's not really with Vance for the right reasons, JD Vance and all that bullshit. She was at Yale Law School. She was a conservative then. She led a legal conservative group on Yale's campus. This woman has been with the shits for a while, and her and JD Vance are made for each other. They carry each other's beliefs. And I know that's hard for some of you. I believe that a woman of color would be in bed with an idiot like him, but join the fucking club. So many have done it. Okay? It's disgusting. Same thing with the first lady. Everybody want to act like this current first lady Ivanka Trump is just somehow, naive and she doesn't know what's going on and 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 she's just, dealing with emotions and all this and Trump has her in a trap and I'm sorry, it's not Ivanka. Oops, Freudian slip. Melania Trump. Oops, Freudian slip. I forget sometimes, and maybe that's Trump. But Melania Trump, some people want to act like Melania Trump is just so naive and she's just so entrapped in this marriage and she doesn't want to be in with the president. She's playing you all too. She's so complicit. She's so with the shits, and it is what it is. So is Kim Kardashian, right? All of these people, they're all in with it. And I guess what's hard for some of you all is that the bad guy looks and talks a certain way. And because these people do not fit the look of a bad person to you, because you have stereotyped what a bad person is supposed to look and sound like, you all want to keep giving them all these levels of grace. Newsflash, evil looks and comes in all shades, shapes, and colors and sizes and sounds and cadences. They wear Birkin bags and they wear North Face jackets. They wear red mega caps and they wear Kango fucking caps. They are all around us. Okay? The enemy is within. And so I just need white liberals specifically to stop trying to act like there is a look of evil. The look of evil is everywhere. It's everywhere. It's no particular sound or area or region. I'm so sick of everybody's like, oh, the South, be careful in the South. Man, be fucking careful in South Philly. How about that? Okay? Be careful in Center City. How about that? Be careful in West Philly. How about that? Okay? Because as much as everybody want to act like, oh, the Jim Crow South, ooh, Florida and Mississippi, there's shit happening in Pennsylvania, y'all. Like, we got to stop creating. This is very white liberalism behavior. This neoconservative, neoliberal fashion of giving a look to bigotry. Child, bigotry ain't got no fucking look. Everybody want to, the Texans, you're in Texas. How was it like growing up in Texas? How is it like growing up in fucking racist ass, red line, red districting ass fucking Philadelphia? Because the stories I hear, I mean, last time I checked, there wasn't nobody dropping a bomb in Houston on its own people. Where that happened? Oh, in Philadelphia? So liberal, right? Oh, so progressive, right? Oh, a black mayor, right? Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm on a roll today. I have a lot on my chest. I have a lot on this podcast today. There's just been so much that I have seen that just makes me just want people to be better. And so, here we are. So, this week in movies, a lot's going on in movies this week. First of all, Karla Sofia Gascon, ladies and gentlemen, is canceled. She made history as the first trans person to ever be nominated for an acting Oscar. And she was nominated for Best Actress, Best Lead Actress she is, for her performance in Amelia Perez. Well, ever since those tweets that got revealed last week, showing her saying the N-word, it looks like, not the N-word, racist, bigot, Islamophobic, just so many bigoted ass posts that she made. Seemed like these tweets, y'all still got y'all tweets up? Delete y'all tweets. What are y'all doing? God damn. These tweets was during George Floyd, so she had these are fresh racist ass, Islamic ass tweets. I mean, not Mahoney's, Saquon Barkley, your fiance, posted some shit years ago using the N-word. Why do y'all not delete? What's going on? You knew you said the N-word before, girl. You white, you knew you. Listen, I don't know what it is. But just, what are y'all doing? Okay? So, ever since this campaign, Netflix has distanced themselves from her. Reports have come in and said that at this point, during this Oscar campaign, they have taken her off of promotion around it. They're not paying for her. They're not flying her out to any award shows. If she chooses to go, she has to pay for her own air flight. She has to pay for her own makeup team and everything else. But they're not inviting her to anything. There is still a question of whether or not she will actually show up to the Oscars themselves. She has not rescinded her nomination. Um, she's in the dark. And her castmates and crew, they're not backing her, even though she tried to claim that Selena Gomez and Zoe Saldana backed her 200%. Zoe Saldana was on a red carpet recently and was asked, and she kind of looked like, and then basically didn't even address it head on, but reiterated in a statement that she does not support, racism, bigotry, and all that of any kind, and basically is distancing herself because she won her Oscar. Zoe Saldana, at this point, Amelia Perez was considered one of the leading frontrunners for Best Picture at the Oscars. Now, with all them 13 nominations, it might only win like maybe 2 Oscars. I mean, it might win some more, but maybe Best Original Song potentially, maybe, and Best Supporting Actress for Zoe Saldana. I think Zoe Saldana still has a chance to win. But we don't know because people are saying the new frontrunner. Well, Zoe Saldana is still a frontrunner. She's still winning awards. But maybe the person who could pull the upset might be Ariana Grande for Wicked, which a lot of people think might now happen if the Amelia Perez hate goes across the board. However, I think a lot of people are like, you know what, fuck the movie, fuck the director, because he got his own problems too. But people might say, you know what, we like Zoe Saldana's performance because she really was good. The movie is all over the place. I didn't hate the movie as much as other people did. I didn't really hate the movie. I found it interesting, to be honest. I know people consider it problematic, whatever. Listen, I enjoyed the movie, okay? And even Green Book. I know people hated Green Book. I didn't think Green Book should win Best Picture, but I ain't gonna hold you. I saw Green Book, and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Mahershala Ali. Is the movie cliche? Yes. But I enjoy Mahershala Ali's performance in it. That's a good looking man. I enjoy his performance in it. He won his second Oscar. He won for Moonlight and he won for Green Book within 5 years. We ain't never seen anything like it before. But a two-time, he is one of the few black actors next to only Denzel Washington to have more than one Oscar. Okay? Like, there's only 2 black actors in Hollywood that has more than one Oscar. And that is Denzel Washington, who has 2. And that is Mahershala Ali, who also has 2. Now, Denzel has an Oscar for Best Lead Actor and Best Supporting Actor. Best Supporting Actor for Glory, Best Lead Actor for Training Day. And Mahershala Ali has 2 Oscars, one for Moonlight and the other for Green Book. Best Supporting Actor in both of those. But he got 2 Academy Awards. He's a 2-time Oscar-winning actor. Okay? Put some respect on Mahershala Ali. Okay? He's made history, y'all. Just, he's a good-looking man. But, maybe that could be the case for Zoe Saldana. They hate Amelia Perez, but say, we love her for this role. We're going to give her the Oscar. Okay? That might be the case. She might have a Mahershala Ali situation. But remember, Green Book also won Best Picture too. So, won a couple of Oscars. So we don't know. Maybe that could change some things. But I don't know. I think Zoe Saldana is good. But the new front runner, because I want to make sure I get this out. The new front runner, y'all, for Best Picture is Anora. Shocking. Anora. I'm shocked. I've been Team Conclave on the low. But Anora is seeming to be really good. Now, Mikey Madison is not going to be Best Actress. I think Demi Moore is going to win for The Substance, and I want her to win. I want this for her, and that's just how I feel. Now, there's been some talk about Fernanda Torres, but I don't see it. But she could pull upset. Who knows? Brazil wants it for her, but I think that Demi Moore in The Substance is the front runner. Mikey Madison, I don't see it. Unless something happens at SAG or something. But Anora is the front runner because of several reasons. Critics' Choice Awards, it didn't win anything but Best Picture, which shocked everybody at the end of the Critics' Choice Awards. PGA, which is called the Producers Guild Awards, which is a very fucking big deal. They're a big precursor for the Oscars and for Best Picture winners. Anora won that. Then Anora turned around and won DGA, which is a big fucking deal. That's the Directors Guild Association. These are major precursors for Best Picture. Everybody thought The Brutalist was going to take that. And I thought The Brutalist was also a Best Picture frontrunner. Now, if y'all been listening to this podcast for the past couple episodes, I've been talking a lot about The Brutalist from day one. Okay? Brutalist, I thought was the Best Picture frontrunner for a minute. I also thought Conclave might surprise people. Well, Anora is doing these sweeps, and Sean Baker, who's the director of Anora, people think he might have a chance of getting Best Director at the Oscars now. We don't know. This has been a rocky road because it seems like the frontrunner status keeps changing. At one point it was Conclave, then it was Amelia Perez, then it was The Brulist, now it's Anora. It could change. It could change. Anything can happen. So I am on the edge of my seat. The Oscars is March 2nd. Y'all know I love me a good Oscars. So I'll be watching it, fully excited and enthusiastic about what these results can mean and what it's going to mean for the award. So we're going to stay tuned on that, okay? So there. Now, I must address this. It looks like there's potentially going to be a Jonathan Majors comeback in the works. Why do I say that? Because something weird happened on Instagram. Michael B. Jordan shared that Magazine Dreams movie trailer supporting his boy. Also, fans are asking for not Michael B. Jordan, but Jonathan Majors to potentially revive the role as Kang. And people are starting to bring up that case with him and, the white woman he was dating, his little girlfriend, they broke up and all the people are starting to say, well, maybe Jonathan Majors was innocent. Maybe he wasn't guilty on all charges. It looks like he wasn't as bad. Like, a lot of people are starting to revisit Jonathan Majors again. Could it come back be soon? When this movie Magazine Dreams drop, which I have seen the movie, and I remember telling my good friends about it. I was telling my friend, Dr. Parks, I was like, girl, this movie is banging. I said, look, he might get an Oscar nomination. A lot of people thought this was going to be his big, big break. And honestly, looking at how dicey the Oscars has been this year, Jonathan Majors could have potentially been nominated. And he might have won. He had the world in his sleeve, but it just looks like he's going to have to do some work. But what's also interesting is that in the past year, since his scandal, he's been even more weird and bizarre to the point that I find him cringier. I don't know if I can go back and see him the same way I saw him as before. So I don't know. The hits took in where even though, I don't necessarily think he might be the abuser that was presumed, now I'm looking at other things about him, and even this whole Megan Good relationship thing is weird. Still weird to me. The whole Coretta thing, all that, just so awkward. I don't know if he's going to make a full comeback, but it's possible. Because if Michael B. Jordan is coming out the ashes to promote his boy, I'm like, is this a soft launch, of a comeback? Stay tuned. We're watching that. Now to music. Because, of course, you all want to know what I thought about that Super Bowl halftime performance. I did watch it after the fact because y'all know I don't watch the Super Bowl. That performance, the Super Bowl performance, I know people are going to have different thoughts about my thought about it. I'm going to be honest because I have no dog in this race. It was not the best Super Bowl show. I wouldn't even put it in the top 5, to be honest. I'm not going to say it's the worst because I think that's a little extreme. Prince's halftime performance is still number 1 to me. Prince has the all-time best halftime show performance. Number 2, Beyonce. I'm going to give it to Beyonce. It's Beyonce for me, for number 2. Number 3, Michael Jackson. I do like the Michael Jackson halftime performance. I do. I love it a lot. Number 4, U2. I like U2 a lot. I did like the U2 halftime performance. Number 5, Rihanna. I know a lot of people are going to say, what? Rihanna, because it was solo. Because she was pregnant. Because she did all that. And there was no guest performers or no features. It was just her giving it to us. And I will say I'll put it in the top with Madonna. Madonna's number 6. But, the Madonna and Rihanna, I'll say they'll tie for 5th place. Because Madonna also did her thing and she ate. Madonna ate. She ate that performance. Yeah, Kendrick's performance, I'm a little biased because I do like my performers to dance. I like a lot of more choreography. I mean, the dance was dancing. I mean, his rapping was fine. The songs were good. He had some good hits. I would have liked him to perform all right. That to me is like one of his best songs of all time. I personally feel like "All Right" is Kendrick's best song, in my opinion. I did like DNA. I did like the DNA performance. Him rapping DNA. I was not expecting DNA. Um, I just found it just flat until the second end, right? The second half, of course, and y'all know I'm gonna get to. But I was aesthetically pretty. I don't know if everybody was feeling it really in the crowd until that second half. And I'll get to the second half of the show. But I mean, SZA, clearly the mic was not on for SZA. She was definitely lip syncing, which I wasn't mad at it. SZA doesn't really she's not really like a vocalist. So I wasn't like, oh, SZA's not singing live. It was okay. She was okay. It was kind of forgettable. The visual aesthetics were okay. I just was okay with it. It wasn't. Now that second half. The second half is what really opened the show. I really hated it because I predicted that was going to happen. I didn't want that to happen. And Kendrick has done better performances. Let me be very clear. Yeah. The symbolism was cool. There was lots of black men. It was very black in that regard. Yeah, I just felt like the first beginning was just kind of like, okay, all right. But the second half was clearly meant to be the thing. I still hate it. And the more and more I listen to the song, I know people like Not Like Us. I get it. But I feel like now that it belongs to like the masses, it feels less for us. And if you know who the us isn't us black people. I feel like it's just now become a thing that like, it was ours and now it's not ours. And not everybody likes it. So therefore there's a little bit of like that shared culturalness that I kind of feel like, yeah, do y'all understand what he's saying in this song? Are we listening to the same song? Because you're not a colleague, you're a colonizer. That doesn't just go for Drake. It kind of goes for some of you all listening to the song. But, it's just, I don't know. I just feel like whenever time blackness is commodified in bulk in the way that it is, it gives me blavity black energy. And don't you, white people don't ever use that term. Do not say blavity black. Don't ask a black person what that means. If you want to Google it, you go Google it. But don't ask a black person what blavity black means. And don't ever call a black person a blavity black. Do not do it. I'm saving your teeth in your mouth. I'm saving you the secondhand embarrassment. I'm selling you the accurate. Do not say, I listen to this show, Ernestly speaking. Do you know what blavity black means? Don't ask a black person what that means. If you want to know what that means, don't ask me in my DMs either. You can Google it. And if you can't find out what it means, don't ask. Okay? You can listen to the podcast, but don't ask that question. Don't ask a black person what that means. But black folks that know what that means, y'all know what I mean by that. It's giving blavity black at this point. And I don't know how I feel about the song now because white people say A minor, it's not, no, it's just not doing what it's supposed to do. Because you guys are so caught up in the whole, and this whole week what was so annoying was like every major white publication like was trying to explain the Drake Kendrick beef, and it was like the way they talked about it was just like, oh my God, you guys are killing me. You suck the fun. It's no longer fun. It's not fun. It's too mainstream now. It's so mainstream that the coolness of what it was initially is now not cool. Like now white people come up to me being like it was somebody got my DMs, oh God. And they were like, yo, Kendrick did his thing, man. I'm like, oh gosh, shut up. It's like when I'm having a moment now. It's like when white people say brother to a black person, like when a white guy be like, yeah, hey brother. I'm like, oh, what do you mean? What are you trying to say? Like when Hulk Hogan, who is now a racist, guys, would tell people, come on, brother. Like, it's like, what are you really trying to say? Are you trying to say brother? Or are you trying to say the other word? Because you can't say. Let me be quiet. Cringe. I'm just listen. This is it's Black History Month, and you all chose to listen to this black ass podcast, so you're gonna get some unfiltered reality. And what I'm telling you is some of the things that your black friends will not tell you because they just don't feel like having that conversation with you. But you know what? You're here, you're listening, and you're in my house, so you know it is what it is. But I get this sense that Not Like Us is no longer ours. Like that's it. After the Super Bowl, I don't want to hear this song anymore. I don't. It'll play. People play it at cookouts and things. I'll have to hear this song for. I'm gonna feel like forever there's gonna be this culturalness around the song that is now lost because of the mainstream of it. And I wonder how Kendrick feels about that privately. Like he's making a lot of money off of it, but like that's it. Like that's it. Like I don't know. Like I don't feel bad for Drake. Drake got what he deserved. The highlight for me was Serena Williams during the Crip Walk. Again, stuff that I just anyway. Serena doing her big one because that was Drake's ex back in the day, and this man has consistently been a total jerk to her and her husband, and I'm happy she got her little revenge, her little lick back, and did her dance, and I live for that. I Serena had that was definitely a highlight to me. But at this point, okay, I've had enough. I've had enough. The song probably will be one of the greatest rap songs of all time. I mean, it's won 5 fucking Grammys. It is probably one of the greatest rap song of the 21st century. I won't say of all time, but definitely in the top 5 of all time rap songs. But definitely of the 21st century, it is. Oh, that is bold. But I guess it's fair to say it is. It's a number one hit. It won 5 Grammys. It was performed at the damn Super Bowl. It is literally a song that everybody knows, whether they want to or not. It was the record of the year. It was a song of the year. No rap song has ever achieved this at this level. Now, some people will say, This Is America, but that's not really a rap song to me. And also, I don't know, people consider it a rap song, I guess. This Is America is it's definitely an important song in our history. But Childish Gambino and just it won record of the year, but This Is America, I think, just has a different. It is in the conversation, but I think They Not Us like hits a different level for various reasons. So This Is America hits, it's in that conversation, but it's not this. At all. What Kendrick has done, I mean, he is the greatest rapper of our generation, hands down. And I will even, at this point, it might be time to tell Jay-Z, might be time to tell Jay-Z, greatest rapper alive might belong to Kendrick now. I might, that might now be the case. And Jay-Z, it was a nice run, buddy. This might be it. And I know the boomers and the Gen Xers are going to argue about this, but the millennial has won. He's won. He's ours. Kendrick won. I think this is our guy. This is our guy. He has kept rap alive and well. Hip hop, he kept well. You all said there was nothing good happening in hip hop. Hip hop is dead. This is da 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 da. While in many cases it is, in some certain cases, I will say what Kendrick has done for this genre of music is indisputable at this point. That being said, if I was to rate his halftime performance without the They Not Like Us second half, this show would have gotten to me a pure 5. With They Not Like Us, I'm going to give it overall a 7 out of 10. Debate your dog. One song should not save an entire Super Bowl performance. One song or 2 songs together should not be the just. It should be a consistent build. And just, I just was underwhelmed. Shout out to Samuel L. Jackson. That was a nice touch. Him being Uncle Sam. That was smart. That was cool. I like the concept of that. But outside of that, yeah, it was all right. It was all right. I need to give y'all a heads up. ASAP Rocky, y'all might be going to jail. I've been following his trial that he's involved in around shooting a former friend. You know, Rihanna has been going to the court cases, the court dates and things. There's been a lot of antics surrounding his appearances and things of that nature. I think the moment he did not accept that plea deal, which would have not give him jail time, or massive jail time. I think he would have been in jail for a little bit, maybe. I don't know. But he should have took the plea deal, in my opinion. I don't know. I just don't think this is going to fare well for him. And we've been knowing about this trial for a while, but now it's here. And it's just not looking good. And there's some serious risk. This man is a father of two. And Rihanna, it suck for her to be a single mother. I mean, she's a billionaire, so she can be fine. But it will suck because they've been together and they was looking good together. And all this Met Gala talk about, him being a part of it and everything. If he's going to be potentially going to jail, being locked up and getting imprisoned, what does that mean? It's just, I don't know. It's just sad to see. And then before I move on to TV, Cowboy Carter tickets are going on sale this week. There's been a lot of videos telling people, if you don't like this album, do not go. I agree with that. Here's my mindset about this and Beyonce. I had the pleasure of going to see Renaissance. On the floor seats. It was a wonderful occasion. I'm going to try to go to see her in Jersey. If the tickets and the ticket masters doing the bullshit, and it just so happens I don't have a chance to go, I am not going to shed a tear. It would be nice to go. It would be nice for Little Brothers to go. We would love to go to this show. But if there's bullshit and they playing games with these goddamn tickets, it is what it is. I'm just going to say that. It is what it motherfucking is. I'm not about to lose no sleep over it. What's that song say? I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna. That's how I feel about it. I'm not going to lose my mind. I won't do it. I refuse. I'm not going to lose my mind over these tickets. I would like to go. I would like to have the experience. But at the end of the day, if it's not cracking the way it's supposed to, it's going to be very telling. So I hope people, really get smart and get strategic, because some of this, there's only going to be these few tour dates. And, look, I was fortunate enough to see her at Renaissance. Like I said, I've had great memories and moments. I would love to go. I hope I can pull it out. But we'll see. We'll see. Because it's looking like it's about to be some chaos with these tickets this week. I think she's selling them on Thursday. But we're going to find out as a group what's a giving. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm. So, So, gonna leave that there. Now, as far as TV goes, I've been watching some good TV, some TV. Paradise is doing its thing. Of course, Abbott Elementary just gets great every week. A consistently good show. I love the recent episode. I won't tell it, but the science fair episode was fabulous. Some really great acting. And Abbott is just a very good, consistent, great show. And it's a show I look forward to every week. Like I look forward to every week, Love and Hip Hop. I just want to make a little note for all my Love and Hip Hop Atlanta fans. This week, I don't know if y'all picked up on this weird thing that showed up on the show. So Kirk Frost, y'all know Kirk, who's married to Rashida, is claiming that he wants to get full custody of Cannon. This is his child that he has, his child he had in his affair with Jasmine, who he had outside of his marriage. he is claiming he wants to go for full custody of that boy, his son, the one at first that he didn't believe was his, and to get a DNA test. Now he wants to get full custody of him, which I think is crazy. We're gonna see how it's gonna play out on the show, but that just took me for a loop. But another show I've been watching that I really like is called Clean Slate. It is on Amazon Prime. It stars. It's a brand new show with Laverne Cox and George Clinton. Old school Norman Lear, the late Norman Lear, produced this show. And I don't want to talk too much about it, but it's such a good show in the times that we're in. It's about a black trans woman who's played by Laverne Cox, who comes back home. She was an art curator in the art world, and she falls into some hard times. She has to come back home, and she comes back home in her new identity. She abandoned her family for quite some time, and she returns home as a black trans woman. And for the most part, her family accepts her, and they navigate this new experience. But she also navigates life, and the show was not just centered on her trans identity, but also just a family drama and comedy that's lighthearted, that is filled with some uplifting messages, and just a really good show. And she has a love interest, which the show explores. But I'm really feeling this series, and it's just, and the timeliness of it coming out and everything that's happening right now. I encourage people to watch it. It's called Clean Slate, and it's just a really good, wholesome, thoughtful show, and just really funny and heartfelt and interesting and just well written. And yeah, I really enjoyed watching it. Just dropped this past week, and I encourage people to watch it. Yeah, really good show. Another series I've been watching, and I'm enjoying this because I'm going to tease Amanda. This show is called Scamanda. 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 It's based on a woman named Amanda who's a scammer who is on Hulu. It's this docu-series based on a true story. It's not an active TV show. It's like a docu-series I think the show was coming on ABC too, but I'm also watching on Hulu. And it's called Scamanda. And I think that's going to be my nickname for Amanda, my good friend, by Scamanda. Scamanda Parks. No, but it's about a scam. So this woman, her name is Amanda, and she is a scammer. And it's spicy. It's season 1. There's been several episodes that's aired. It's been 3 episodes that's aired thus far. But she is a wife, a mother, and a blogger. And she has this tragic cancer. And it captivates thousands. It's based on a true story. So she talks about, she has this tragic cancer tale that captivates thousands of people, right? But then there's an anonymous tip to an investigative reporter, and her own words proved to be a downfall. It was a very sick scam that she did. And it was based on a podcast of a true story of a woman whose own words held the key to her secret. Oh, it's spicy. And they unravel what happened. Doctors suspect, that she faked her cancer diagnosis for money. It's like she pretended she had cancer. It was, oh my God, this is just terrible. But her name is Amanda Riley. This is the true story. I encourage you all to watch this. Yeah. It's an interesting show. But it's called Scamanda, and I just love the name of that show. But check it out. And that's everything for this week. I'm looking forward to Valentine's Day on Friday. I'm looking forward to my anniversary celebration. I have some great plans for this lovely weekend. There's going to be a lot of things going on this weekend in general. Stuff going on in my fraternity. They have a spades match. The 8th anniversary of Philadelphia Distilling. Just lots of stuff happening this weekend. And of course, Valentine's Day anniversary weekend. I have some lovely plans. I'm going to some great restaurants that I haven't been to in a while. Lots of lovely surprising gifts. And then next Monday, Mr. Johnson turns 30. Yes, 30. He's going to be in the 30s club finally. So it's a lot of love, lots of romance, a lot of passion. I look forward to all of it more this week. And I hope you all have a very good week too. As always, And, just be safe. There's a lot going on in the world, but take some time, drink some water, take naps, okay? Take naps, rest, be well, okay? Be good. Eat whole grain meals. Wear a scarf. Get a massage. Just be in tune with yourself. And as always, be well and be best. Ernestly Speaking is recorded in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and can be found on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. To stay up to date with the latest on the show, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mr. Ernest Owens. Use the hashtag Ernestly Speaking to tell me what you thought about this episode, and check out my website at ernestowens.com.